Nostalgia is a powerful thing. It can be used as a tool to invoke many positive emotions, including comfort and happiness, but it can also invoke feelings of sadness, longing for a time that has far since passed us. When humans are gripped with nostalgia, it will attach itself onto the mind and will stay there. For many people, nostalgia brings back good memories from their past. Welcome back to Nostalgic Things from Your Childhood, your one stop for nostalgic things that you may hold near and dear to your heart. Tonight, we will look at 3 different pieces of nostalgia that will strike that chord in your mind and will bring you back to a time long ago. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Ain't nothing like a good logo. If you're a fan of the channel, you'll know that in the first episode, I covered Random House Home Video, a subsidiary of the Random House Publishing Company that was responsible for distributing many VHSs and DVDs of shows such as Arthur. I wanted to open this episode up by talking about some other logos that you might remember from your childhood. Firstly, let's talk about the PBS Kids logo. This is PBS. This older version of the logo was the first for PBS Kids, beginning in 1993 and lasting until around 1999. A lot of people around my age wouldn't remember seeing this on TV, but if you were like me, you would see these on VHSs for shows such as Teletubbies, where I saw it the most. Every so often, I would also see it on my Arthur VHSs, but not very much. Then there is the version that most of you know.
Doink.
This was a series of bumpers that ran from 1999 to 2022. The bumpers featured 2 kids, a boy and a girl named Dash and Dot respectively. Now, most of you who watched PBS Kids growing up will remember seeing this on TV. I did watch PBS a lot growing up, even though we had premium cable, which meant I had channels such as Boomerang, but I already talked about that. Anyway, the main reason I would watch PBS was for Fetch with Ruff Ruffman, which I plan on talking about in the future. I would see these bumpers whenever I was watching the show, but anyway, let's move on. Also, while we're on the subject of PBS, I don't know if it's just me, but those sponsorship bumpers that you would see are pretty nostalgic as well. So a lot of Arthur was funded by brands such as Juicy Juice and Chuck E. Cheese, which are 2 brands that really stuck with me because those are the most I would see from those screens. And I actually think that's how I found out about Chuck E. Cheese. I was so young when I first saw these on TV. I think that is how I found out about Chuck E. Cheese, which is pretty crazy. But anyway, let's move on to another logo. Speaking of Arthur, I want to go back to another logo that I briefly spoke about, and if you watched episode 1, you'd probably know what I'm talking about. This is the logo for Sony Wonder, a subsidiary of Sony Pictures Home Entertainment. The subsidiary began in July of 1993 when they merged Sony Kids Music and Video into Sony Wonder. Sony Wonder was responsible for distributing a lot of Sesame Street home media releases in its early years and would take over distribution from Random House Home Video for a few other series from PBS. In July of 1995, Sony Wonder and Nickelodeon would partner to distribute a couple of Nick Jr. shows on home media, including Gullah Gullah Island, Eureka's Castle, and Allegra's Window. In August of 1997, the branch made a long-term deal to distribute media releases of kids' songs from Together Again Video Productions. In later years, Sony Wonder started to be used less and less until 2007, when Sony announced that it would be shutting it down. However, in 2015, rather than it being shut down, the brand was renamed into Sony Pictures Family Fun, ending the Sony Wonder name. The last time the Sony Wonder logo was used was for the 2020 direct-to-video film, The Swan Princess: A Royal Wedding. I do remember this logo a lot on my Arthur VHS tapes, like I said earlier. Usually the Random House Home Video logo would be side by side with it, with the Sony Wonder logo coming first. I don't necessarily remember why. I don't necessarily know why I remember it, like the order that it went in, but it kind of just stuck with me. You'd have the FBI warning at the beginning, the don't copy this, don't redistribute it, etc., etc. Then the Sony Wonder logo, and then the Random House Home Video logo, and then Arthur would start. It was always a nice moment being able to sit down with something to eat while watching the tape. It's very unfortunate that neither Random House Home Video nor Sony Wonder still exist, meaning that one day this part of your and my childhood could actually die out. But we could prevent that. Hopefully, at least for now, parents are still showing their children the tapes that they grew up on so that those children could see that whimsical logo in the clouds. I'll definitely talk about some more childhood logos in the future, so be on the lookout for that in a future installment. So, childhood logos, until next time. Ain't nothing like being up late at night.
Here they come, screaming across the sky. It's lots and lots of jets and planes. The greatest collection of aviation DVDs we've ever offered. And through this special TV offer, you can get 2 DVDs for the...
This is an infomercial for Lots and Lots of Jets and Planes, a video compilation of, you guessed it, jets and planes, and you can bet there were a lot of them in each volume. 3 volumes were made for the series in the early 2000s before it ended. This is only one of the many infomercials that I remember seeing when I was younger. Let me talk about a few more of them. Another one that I want to mention is Zoo Books. This was a monthly issued magazine featuring facts and images of different animals, insects, and more. Then there were the Pillow Pets. These were different animals shaped into pillows that can also be folded into a pet that stands on 4 legs. It's a pretty neat concept, and these branch out onto other different pets, including college mascots, which I own the Ohio State mascot, Brutus the Buckeye, actually 2 of them. Then there were the Dream Lights, which was similar to the Pillow Pet, but with an added projection light at the top of the pet that, when turned on, would light up the ceiling of the room into a starry night sky. So, your boy had to cop one. Well, I got this one many years ago, but this is once again Brutus the Buckeye. There are many more that I can talk about, like the Chia Pet, a mini statue that after water is added, it will grow into a shrub. But the last one I do want to talk about is not an infomercial, but rather a PSA, but I think it should be mentioned nonetheless. If you grew up in the late 1990s and early to late 2000s, there's a good chance that you saw one of Louis the Lightbug's PSAs about electricity safety. Here's a few of them to jog up your memory.
Whoa! These power lines have the blues cause they're feeling down.
We got the blues cause we're feeling down.
So when the lines are down, don't you hang around.
When we're down, don't hang around.
Sing it, Willie!
When lines are down, don't you hang around. When lines are down, don't you hang around. When lines are down, don't you hang around.
The character was created in 1983 for Alabama Power, but has also been used in PSAs for American Electric Power, or AEP. I'll talk more about PSAs and basic commercials in a future episode, but I just wanted to give you a taste of them. So, infomercials, until next time. Let's go to the fair. In episode 1, I talked about elementary school nostalgia. In that part, I neglected to talk about one facet of elementary school nostalgia that many of you definitely remember, and that's because I wanted to save it for its own entry. The best day in elementary school each year would come when the teacher passed out these. These are catalogs for the Scholastic Book Fair. Usually when the teacher passed these out, the book fair was in a few weeks. So you would circle what you wanted and you show your parents. Then in a couple weeks' time, the school library would be turned into the book fair. For the next week or two, the library would be the place to be, as you could buy the newest Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Now, the book fair didn't have just books, but it also had everything from erasers to pencils to posters and even toys, although these were mostly educational toys. For me, the erasers were the coolest part, as they had these erasers that looked like smartphones. Now, nothing beats begging your parents for money and then going to the book fair after. I remember one year I got Cheat Code Explosions handhelds and spent the next month doing cheat codes on my PSP and DS. Those were very, very good times. And of course, nothing hurts more in elementary school when the book fair ends. Another memory that I have that I am not very proud of was that one year for the fair, I tried to get my mom to give me money for the fair, and when she finally gave in, I went to school the next day with about, I want to say, a couple dollars in bills, and then about $4 to $5 in coins. But when I arrived at school and went to the library, however, I did not find the shelves of books and the containers of erasers, but I found that the library had been changed back into its original form. And I was so distraught by this that I physically dropped to my knees in front of everyone and I ran to the bathroom until the first class started. Yes, I know, I was that distraught by it. But you know what? Like, who wouldn't be distraught? Who wouldn't be that distraught when the book fair ended, you know? Because we were all like 9. Now, thankfully, unlike other entries on this list, the book fair has not been forgotten. Scholastic book fairs still pop up in elementary schools across the United States. At least this part of your childhood is still alive and kicking, and hopefully it stays that way so that other generations of elementary school students can experience the same feeling like we all did so long ago. So, Scholastic Book Fair, until next time. Nostalgia is a tool that can bring people into another world, a world in which they can forget their problems in the real world and just remember what it was like to be younger. It just seemed like everything was better when you were younger. However, that shouldn't take away from your life here in the present. We should remember the things from our past, but that's all it should be. Eventually, we just have to face the facts and grow up. But it doesn't hurt to remember something and keep it in the back of your mind, so that if things do seem bleak, you can come back to it and reminisce on the times to make you feel better. This has been Nostalgic Things from Your Childhood, Volume 3. My name is DJR. Thank you for watching, and until next time.